It's Wednesday, time for our weekly trip to the new zoo.
Neil Anderson joins us live this morning from Swamico. Hi, Neil.
Hey, good morning. Well, I'll tell you what, we got a lot of snow out here in Swamico. I think we probably got about 10 inches. You know, we've been here busy early this morning, getting the zoo ready for visitors today. So we'll be up and going by 9 o'clock. I know the crew out here is most of the paths around the zoo, the platforms, everything cleared. So you can come on out and check out the animals. And I'll tell you what, you know, when you have fresh snow like this, it's kind of fun to come out and watch the animals like our lynx and other animals that are out and about. It's a good opportunity to see them because they're going to enjoy this nice fluffy white snow. And one of the animals that's going to be real difficult to see are the black bears. And we're going to give you a little behind the scenes tour of the black bears, and this is a black bear den. Now we have two black bears. We've got Winnie, who's 10 years old, and we have Aldo, who is 2 years old. And they're both spend a lot of the time in the winter. You know, we had a real cold spell. These guys didn't move around much, but you can see, now you take a look, this is Winnie. Now, what they'll do is we provide them enough bedding so they can kind of build their own little denning area. They have a den building. And normally, you know, in captivity, a lot of zoos will go ahead throughout, you know, the winter, the cold time of year like this, is go ahead and provide them food and water, because although they, you know, may slip into a little bit of a hibernation end of it, these guys are fairly awake most of the days. Now, if we go through a real cold spell, okay, they're probably going to go ahead and they may be, you know, sleeping and resting for several days, sometimes maybe up to a couple of weeks. But if you take a look at Winnie, one of the things, you know, with bears when they go into hibernation, they still use about 4,000 calories a day. So what our keepers do on a daily basis is they'll go ahead and still provide them food, fresh warm water. They'll have that if they would like to or not. They still have to shift them inside and out. If they don't feel like it, if the bears don't feel like moving, then we just kind of let them stay there. But it's interesting because their metabolic rate will drop between 50 and 75%. And that's normal when they're in hibernation. But here's another interesting thing, because just to go ahead and get them, you know, if they're going to move, they're going to be sluggish, because one way that they can cope with dropping their metabolic rate, this is pretty cool, and they can do it, you know, I mean, we couldn't do this. We wish we could do this, but what they can do is they can go ahead and restrict the blood flow to the extremities. And by doing that, what they can do is they can drop their metabolic rate by 45%. And they can have, you know, like say, oxygen levels within those extremities lower than we could possibly do. But that's one of the reasons too. So when, you know, when the bear is in hibernation, we're getting moved, they're going to be sluggish, because all of a sudden now they've got to go ahead and get that blood flowing to the extremities, kind of wake up and get moving. Now this over here is Winnie, and I want to show you Aldo. And Aldo's a little bit younger, and Aldo's a real good sleeper. He does like to be out. You know, the thing is they're both so different. He will be outside a little bit more in the winter than Winnie will, but Aldo, when he's sleeping, you can see he's sound asleep.
You can't wake him up. Well, Neil, thanks for showing us those the bears this morning, and we'll check